All right, YouTube, let's discuss the force of socialism on the immigration debate. Now, if anything else is about socialism, this immigration debate is definitely all about socialism. What socialism does a great job of doing is taking our eye off the ball, which should always come back to our resources. What they can do with socialism is to get you to overlook your limited resources in favor of doing what feels good. And immigration is one of those things that I think the country allows to happen because it makes the country feel good. It feels like without personally being involved, you're taking in someone less fortunate and you're feeding and clothing them. And that is such a rewarding feeling as long as it doesn't have to come to your house. So under the guise and the umbrella of socialism, we get to make ourselves feel better. Now this is coming back to bite us because there's so many workarounds to the immigration system and so many ways the courts have handled it that just make it all but impossible to keep out unwanted folks. And without being called a racist or a phobe or some term that's going to say that you're just for anti progress, because of course, the most open minded people, the most well educated people, well, they all support immigration on in mass, illegal or illegal. So unless I'm on that train, then I'm not as cultured and I'm not as well rounded and current as other people. So that is the guilt that they lay on you in order to get you to support socialism. And I think what Trump is saying here, where it says he's going to suspend immigration from third world countries, that's so important because what he's trying to say is we're going to try to curb some of this socialism, try to pull it back because socialism is imported. America is not rooted in socialism. America is rooted in capitalism. And the idea that you take your fruits of your labor and you capitalize on those things and you build you wealth and you leave it for generations to come. That's the idea of America and why so many people fought, died, and sacrificed to make that a reality. And socialism, while it's being implemented, while it is progressing, it's the most beautiful looking thing in the world. Like I said, it plays into all of our emotions, makes us feel so much better about ourselves until it's in full force. We're not at full force. We're in the love phase of socialism, where you see it in New York, you see it spreading throughout the red states. And Trump, as hard as he's trying to fight against it, the socialists use him as the poster child for why we need socialism, because socialism definitely despises masculinity, because that is a very antithetical to socialism. It allows men to intervene and decide that enough's enough. And when you have that, socialism has walls and it doesn't like to have walls. So men are taken out in order to advance socialism. We're eventually let back in once we're a lot softer and a lot more understanding, and the forces of socialism are so rooted that there's not much a man can do but to support it. And Trump tries to stand against that tide. He tries to stand against popular opinion, which is another thing that feeds socialism is popular opinion. He tries to stand against that and he tries to really, really stick it to the socialists and the globalists. And I think any excuse that he can find, any reason that he can make happen, he is going to drop that into the conversation and try to push back on socialism. And I think that's exactly what's going on here. And you see the response was immediate. It was immediate, it was emotional, and this is what the YouTubers and the other people in the media are playing on to get you to support socialism, is to tell you that Trump is a tyrant, Trump is a king, Trump is racist and bigoted, and he's everything that socialism hates. So you should hate it too. This is the falsity of socialism. The very people who are trying to fight it and keep you free, keep money in your pocket, are the ones who are demonized because you've already bought into the emotional and you're not really thinking about the financial like Trump is. Trump is thinking about your future generations, your wealth, your prosperity. You're in your feelings. And the more he tries to preserve those things for you, the more you see them as mean and evil. Immigration is the perfect poster child for that. So I'm proud to see that Trump is not taking that, that he's standing against the globalists and the socialists who would wish full socialism on our country, because we got to push back against it as long as possible. Now, socialism eventually consumes everything that it touches, but everything that it touches and consumes eventually fails. So this is why we got to keep socialism in check for as long as possible, why we got to push back against it. You see it with this election going on today. As of this recording, there's a big election in Tennessee where the voters are overwhelmingly being turned on by socialism. This candidate, from what I understand, even went so far as to say that they didn't like the state, and the fact that they still stand a chance is mind-boggling. But here we are. That is because emotion has taken over everything, and this is what people are voting on, and this is what the majority of women vote on, and the majority of women are just taking over the polls right now, out to defy Donald Trump. And this is the vicious cycle that we're in. And hopefully we gain some more than we lose. But again, the more Trump fights socialism, the more socialism is going to fight back. The more the people are going to resent it and go out and turn red states and counties into blue states and counties in the hopes that they're going to be able to get more free money, more resources, because the people aren't blind to the fact that we still need resources. It's just that nobody cares about capitalism anymore. Capitalism's been demonized to the point that no one wants to admit to it. So you end up buying into socialism at some point. And it's just the wheel just turns. But let's try to keep a lid on that as long as possible by understanding why Trump is making these decisions. When you see things like in the media where they're putting it in air quotes and they're trying to stoke you, just understand more and more every day, folks, we're going to be tested, and we're going to be having to ask ourselves how much socialism and how fast we want socialism to take over everything. Because when we do that, once we finally make that choice and go down that road to where there's more people pushing for it than against it, then our days are numbered. But that's what I got on this video. That's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to keep the discussion going. Help me fight back against socialism. And if you also could please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, I'll greatly appreciate it. Well, that's all I got on this one, folks. And I'll see you guys next time on Force of Socialism. It's a scary force.